on CBS News 7.
Your seats are too goddamn small! If your big, round, beluga bop, whale-looking self needs an accommodation in the cargo hold, we can make that happen.
We are here live at the scene of a shocking incident where a woman killed her husband for walking on the floor she mopped. Has she been arrested?
Not yet. We are waiting for the floor to dry. Welcome back to the Spectrum News Network. I'm your host, Marshmallow Jenkins. We have some extremely tragic news for you tonight. The only Hooters in my town has shut down. I drove my moped to the promised land on my lunch break today, and I was shocked to discover that the happiest place on earth has become nothing but a memory. A culinary institution that was once the heartbeat of Tickletoe County locked its doors for the last time this week as it filed for bankruptcy. As the earth shifted beneath my Crocs in that empty parking lot, it began to rain. As if even the sky knew what had been lost to the cruel, twisted hand of fate. I began to wonder where Kelly could be. Is she thinking about me? Wondering where I am? My soul is now bankrupt of boobies. But do I get to file these feelings? No, I must carry on. I must become the man that my dad wanted me to be. The man that was born when Kelly hugged me that one time and absolutely smothered my face with those squeezers. Because if I can't become that man, well, I don't deserve Kelly and her massive upper deckers, do I? So that's what I must do. I won't just survive this tragedy, I'll become stronger from it. Stronger than I've ever been. I know more jiggly honkers are out there, and I'll find them.
This just in. The United States has officially deployed its most reckless and unpredictable unit to the Middle East, the Ultima Team.
Girl, I'm lost. Keisha, guess where I am? Girl, they sent me to Iran. Who's gonna fill in? Girl, that. They got some good ass food here though. Did you not see me? Dead ass. Move. I don't even care for real. Bitch.
Thanks, Chris. Known for their unmatched ability to cause complete havoc in school zones, Walmart parking lots, and Taco Bell drive-thrus.
Y'all lucky I ain't bring Keisha.
The Pentagon has confirmed these drivers were selected based on three things: unpaid registration, loud exhaust, and vibes. God help us all. Welcome to the Black News Network. I'm your host, Papa Cap and Yo Ass Jones. Tonight's story, BNN weather reporter and local hoe Keisha McRib thinks she too good for me. The part-time weather reporter and full-time community mattress was begging me to come through and lay this pipe last Friday, but now she want to act like she don't know me. She ain't ever had a problem asking me to pay for her food, but when it come time to show me what that mouth do, the hoe proudly lied, I ain't that kind of girl. So we just gonna act like you ain't already popping Plan Bs like they a daily vitamin. Oh, please. The dry cleaners won't even take your business anymore. They all tired of cleaning up baby batter stains off your clothes. Don't ever ask me to DoorDash you no crab legs again. You ain't.
Will merge with the Hunger Games. Only one couple will survive the new format. Everyone else dies.
Senator Buck Nutley has unveiled his Big Girthy bill, a new proposal meant to rival the Big Beautiful bill. But does size really matter?
The shocking trend of Labubu violation continues as more and more people are finding their dolls' holes stretched wide open and reeking of shame.
If you thought Bigfoot was bad, wait till you meet his gooey cousin. A kumsquatch was just spotted in Dongwood National Forest.
Did you know IKEA has released a home glory hole kit called the Fuke Hole? It includes pre-drilled panels, mounting brackets, and a stain-proof finish. We begin with breaking news out of Massachusetts, where residents are reeling from what scientists are calling a cum-comet impact.
Officials are asking everyone to stay indoors and to wear N95 masks in case of cum aerolization.
We have breaking news. A laser-guided ship missile has just been launched from Rectomopolis, reportedly targeting Tainsylvania.
We're live from the scene where a laser-guided ship missile launched from Rectomopolis has struck Tainsylvania.
This just in, a pubnadal blankets St. Louis in a thick bush this evening.
Downtown is completely covered in pubic hair, causing highways to close out of caution.
It's coming right for us. We need to get out of here now. Oh my God, it's taking the houses.
A massive gizzard has buried Kamlambus in 2 feet of donglode. Locals blame the lack of preparation on Mayor Linda P. Slurp.
The city of Columbus is reeling today after an unprecedented event. What officials are calling a gizzard has left downtown streets. Customs officials at Orbital Port 69 have seized over 420 stolen jork blades, many still warm and dripping. A magnitude 6.9 queefquake rattled Clamlip Valley this morning, releasing a torrent of pussy farts. The children's reading session of This Little Piggy Got Pegged has been cancelled, with parents saying the book is too anatomically detailed for kids.
Lawmakers remain deadlocked on the Big Beautiful bill, with some saying 10 billion more is needed for fleshlights and robo-cooters for dudes on dry spells.
All right. I see a couple people in the chat. Hey, let's do some news. Yo, what up, brother Zeke? What up with you, man? And Mr. O with the info. Yo, good show last night, guys. All right, let's run through a couple of these. Yeah, and Zeke, yeah, we're gonna cover your the Germany news story you sent me. Because I'm gonna frame it with what's going on and with the immigration problem going on over in Europe right now, and how that parallels with what's going on over here in the States. And it's a good thing Trump is getting rid of is doing these mass deportations, which, by the way, still Obama still got him beat in terms of deportations. All right, let's do this top story. We got 3 officials arrested in voter fraud. They're starting to finally charge these Democrats with trying to steal the election from Trump this past election cycle. So let's jump into this. And this is in my neck of the woods. This is in Pennsylvania. We turned Pennsylvania red this year, this election season, and they thought it couldn't be done. But they was up to their shenanigans. If y'all remember when we covered the election live, election night, Cheetah was jumping back and forth, and we was documenting all of the people getting caught for voter fraud in real time. Everybody was trying to stay up, making sure they ain't steal the election this time. So charges, they finally caught some more people. This is from the district attorney's office in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Let's go.
To steal a local mayoral election. And this scheme of theirs was rather audacious, involving dozens of individuals having their identities used, both wittingly and unwittingly, in order to request mail-in ballots and cast fraudulent votes. Let's go through the details of the scheme together as well as how it was ultimately uncovered by the authorities. And as always, if you appreciate content like this, take a super quick moment to smash those like and subscribe buttons so this video can reach ever more people via the YouTube algorithm. Now, to start with, this story takes place over in Millburn, Pennsylvania, which is a relatively small borough located right outside of Philly. And in 2021, Millburn held an election for mayor. And before I give you the names of the two main candidates, there's one thing that I believe is worth mentioning to you in order to give you the proper context. Millburn has experienced a significant shift in demographics over the last 40 years. According to the 1980 census, this particular borough was over 90% white. But after 4 decades of immigration, the latest census, the one from 2020, shows that Millburn is now 7% white, 20% African American, and 63% Asian, with that Asian category being predominantly people from India, Pakistan, and especially Bangladesh. This change in demographics is being reflected in the town itself. For instance, the name of the main street in this town is called Sellers Avenue. It's named that after the founding family of this particular town, the Sellers family, who moved from Derbyshire, England, and settled this town all the way back in the 1700s. Now, however, if you go to that street, you might notice that it has a secondary name, Bangladesh Avenue, which is an obvious physical testament to the growing power of the local Bangladeshi community there. And this change, besides the street names and the local shops, is also...
Yo, what up, No News? What up, Kwame Kaiju? Yo, we cover. I'm doing one of the stories you sent me too, Kwame, and we got some new numbers in, so we're gonna do about the numbers by last segment. Yo, what up, Lord of Brooklyn? What up with you, Playboy? Yeah, but you see how they're changing that Ave to Bangladesh Avenue. Some stuff like that's starting to happen in New York and California too. Complete takeover.
Also being reflected in the local politics, which brings us neatly back to the mayor's race. In 2021, the incumbent mayor decided not to run for re-election, and therefore a primary had to be held. Now, Millburn is a Democrat stronghold, meaning in a practical sense that whoever wins the Democrat primary is the presumed winner of the general race. And in 2021, these were the two candidates in the Democrat primary. You had Mahabubul Tayyub versus Muhammad Nurul Hassan. Now, these two men had a lot in common. They were both about the same age, 47 and 48 respectively. They both came from the city of Chittagong in Bangladesh. After moving to the US, both of these two men lived in the same apartment building in Philadelphia, where they actually became friends with one another. Then they separately moved to Millburn, where they both became members of the borough council. They're also both naturalized US citizens. Now, after the primary election was held and all the dust was settled, Mr. Mahabubul Tayyub was declared to be the winner, and he received the Democrat nomination for mayor. However, his buddy, Mr. Muhammad Hassan, he did not take this defeat lying down. And instead, Mr. Hassan launched his own write-in campaign for the general election, meaning that Mr. Hassan's name would not appear as one of the official choices, but he was still out there trying to get enough people to write his name on their ballot so that he could still win. Mr. Hassan was supported in this effort of his by two other men. Both of these two other men were members of the borough council at that time. You had Mr. Muhammad Mansur Ali, as well as Mr. Muhammad Rafiqul Islam. If you include Mr. Hassan, these were the three men who wound up getting indicted for the scheme that they were about to enact in order to try and win the general election. Now, this scheme of theirs, it involved using Pennsylvania's very lax rules when it came to voter registration, as well as their lax rules when it came to the ordering of mail-in ballots. Here is how the Justice Department described it in their court filing. Quote, the Pennsylvania Secretary of State's office operated an online voter registration website, which was accessible to the public. Any person who accessed the voter registration website could either submit a new voter registration application or edit an existing voter's registration information, as long as the person used certain personal identification information about the voter. A person who provided such information about a voter on the registration website could change the voter's name, their address, and or their party affiliation, and or request a mail-in or absentee ballot. So basically, as long as you have some basic information about that particular voter, you can go to this website and you can change their official address on file, and then you can also order an absentee ballot in their name. And those ballots, by the way, would literally be sent anywhere. Quote, If the person accessing the registration website requested a mail-in or absentee ballot for the voter, such a person could ask for the ballot to be mailed to any address in the world. And so I'm already sure you can guess how the scheme of theirs played out. According to the indictment, they found people who lived outside of Millburn. They went on this Pennsylvania Secretary of State website and changed those people's registrations to make it look like they did live in Millburn. They ordered absentee ballots in these people.
And that's exactly what the Democrats was doing with the immigrants as well. Even with that no voter ID and stuff like that, they were using the mail-in ballots, and they was having dead people vote and stuff like that. That was why it was so important this election season for everybody to get out and vote early, so we wouldn't have any of this early voting, so we wouldn't have any of this mail-in ballot fraud by the Democrats.
People's names. They collected those ballots. They filled them out with Mr. Hassan's name as the choice for mayor. They faked the signature, and then they sent them in. Now, in terms of where they were able to get these people's information from in order to do this process, there were two sources, according to the indictment. The first were friends and acquaintances. Quote, to further this conspiracy, the men contacted friends and acquaintances whom they knew did not live in Millburn, told these non-Millburn residents that Mr. Hassan was running for mayor in Millburn, asked if they could register the non-Millburn residents to vote in Millburn, and then cast mail-in ballots for Mr. Hassan to be mayor. During many of these conversations, the men told their non-Millburn friends and acquaintances that they would not get in trouble as long as they did not vote in another election in November of 2021. Basically, they asked their friends for help, and if those friends agreed, then they would take their driver's license number, jot down the necessary information like the driver's license ID, their full name, their date of birth, their address, and whatever else was necessary. Then they would go over on the website to the online system, re-register them to be Millburn residents, then get their ballots. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, at least those people knew that this was happening. There was another subset of people who had no idea. Quote, Mr. Hassan and Mr. Ali also conspired and agreed to use personal identifying information for other non-Millburn residents that they had obtained from other sources, such as Mr. Hassan's business, to register those non-residents as Millburn voters without the knowledge of those non-residents, which is rather wild. I wasn't able to find out exactly what Mr. Hassan's business was in the community, but let's just say it's a roofing company. You get your roof done by Mr. Hassan, and then later that year, unbeknownst to you, you're suddenly voting for him for mayor in the general election, even though you don't even live in that town.
Yo, this is a class in voter fraud 101.
I guess you get a little added value by roofing with the sun. Regardless, though, this scheme of theirs actually wound up not working. Even though they were able to register nearly 36 individuals using this method, it was not enough to steal the election. Mr. Hassan still wound up losing by 23 votes. However, the sudden spike in voter registrations between the primary and general election set off alarm bells. Also, because this was a small community, Mr. Tayyub, the other guy in the race, the guy who won, he knew some of the names of the people who were being registered, and he knew that those people did not actually live in Millburn. And so he understood right away what was happening. All right, just to pause here for a super quick moment, I'd like to introduce our sponsor and my own personal gold IRA. And the best part, and by April of this year, so within 2 months, they all wound up pleading guilty, which is also just wild if you think about it. I mean, these three men, they committed a combined total of 65 felonies because each fake vote is its own felony, but they still lost the election. So they literally don't have anything to show for it. And even worse than that, unlike many of the other voter fraud cases that we've covered on this channel, in this case over in Millburn, Pennsylvania, the federal judge actually threw the book at these men. He gave them harsher sentences than what the prosecutors were actually asking for. In explaining for why he did this, meaning his rationale, Judge Harvey Bartell said the following, quote, in the court's view, there are very few crimes in our federal code which are more serious than what you have committed. What you have done is undermine our democratic process. And as such, Mr. Hassan was sentenced to 3 years in prison, along with 1 year of supervised release. Mr. Muhammad Islam was sentenced to 1 year.
All right, that's good. Well, I want to see some Keishas get arrested. I think this is good. this is good precedent in case law with people getting arrested for voter fraud here in Pennsylvania, because that's we flipped it red, but it's a blue state. But I'm from Philly, and like voter fraud and like political corruption is like a big thing. So that was a voter fraud 101 news story. And whatchamacallit, I'm hoping with Alina Hobbit there in New Jersey and the Justice Department doing all their investigations that a lot more Democrats are going to be getting arrested after the midterms, or at least charges being filed. We know whatchamacallit, we know that the Obama administration is taking L's with Tulsi Gabbard sending stuff to the Justice Department for charges to be filed. This is was sent to me by Kwame. This is on Jerome Powell of the Fed. So they're actually talking about auditing the entire Federal Reserve. Scott Bessent is, and they're trying to force him, Jerome Powell, to resign. He still hasn't lowered the interest rates. I keep talking about that because I was in banking and I know how important the interest rates are. But Kwame sent me this one, and all the links to the source videos are in the description. But this is holy. Jerome Powell may go to prison. That's clickbait for that. He's probably not going to go to prison. But I will say this though: trying to audit the Federal Reserve, man. Trump better be careful, man, because the last few people messed with the Federal Reserve ended up with some problems, 6 feet underground type problems.
Besson calling for a review of the entire Federal Reserve. Something big is coming to the Fed, folks. We reported yesterday how the White House would begin going full bore on the Fed starting today, and it's happening like clockwork, and more stories as well from around the country. So last Wednesday, President Trump denied plans to fire Fed Chair Powell, saying, "We're not planning on doing it, but I don't rule out anything. I think it's highly unlikely unless he has to leave for fraud." And we heard from Trump World that the first order of business for second half of 2025 is to lower rates. The easiest way to cut $1 trillion in expenses to cut the night rate, push down long-term rates, $10 trillion in treasuries expiring soon. Each point in interest is around $400 billion in interest. We went into this in detail yesterday in yesterday's broadcast. We said starting today, Powell is objective number one. All hands on deck for this. And what do you know? This morning, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, an awesome member of Congress, one of my favorites, referring Jerome Powell for criminal prosecution for perjury, for lying to Congress under oath. We have a copy of the criminal referral that Luna's office sent Pam Bondi this morning. Here it is, addressed to the Honorable Pam Bondi. "Dear Madam Attorney General, I'm writing to formally refer Fed Chair Jerome Powell to the DOJ for potential criminal investigation and prosecution for perjury pursuant."
Yo, that's crazy. Wow. This is a big deal, bro. And it's flying under the radar. Shout out to Kwame for finding this story. This is flying under the radar. I didn't know. See, I didn't review the whole story. I didn't know that he was actually referred to the DOJ. I know Scott Bessent was talking about an audit, but yo, this is crazy. Yeah, so like Simeon Toko said, messing with the Fed, you get dealt with.
To 18 U.S.C. 1621 and 18 U.S.C. 1001, which govern false statements made under oath and false statements to federal officials, respectively. Now, I'm not going to read the entire letter, but the important parts, the juicy parts, like on June 25th, 2025, so 4 weeks ago, she says, Powell provided testimony under oath before the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs regarding the renovation of the Federal Reserve's Eccles building. In his statement, he made several material
facts. Simeon Toko said, "I kept telling people there was a mechanism to get him fired." Well, this is definitely it. They're trying to force him to resign before his he's got one more year, but they're trying to force him to resign before that because he's trying to ruin the economy. But yeah, this is big. This is big and flying under the radar. I did not know that he's actually been referred for investigation to the Justice Department. Pam Bondi better be careful too.
Really false claims stating there's no VIP dining room, there's no new marble, there are no special elevators, just old elevators that have been there. There are no new water features, there's no beehives, and there's no roof terrace gardens. This statement, Luna says, is false. According to the Fed's final submission to the National Capital Plan Commission, nearly all of those assertions, excluding the beehives, are contradicted by the actual plans. This is what pressure looks like, folks. The Trump White House has learned. They're still learning, but they've learned how to wield executive power to get what they want. We saw the federal housing director lay into Powell over this, over the $2.5 billion in tax dollars he's spending on his new office. $2.5 billion.
Yo, do you hear this? Powell's spending $2.5 billion on his new office. That's crazy.
The Fed is supposed to control and minimize inflation. How is spending $2.5 billion in our tax dollars for an office? How is that limiting inflation? Members of the Trump administration now openly calling for his resignation.
Are you calling for an audit to happen on the renovations?
There needs to be an audit on the renovations at the Federal Reserve. I think people need to in a bipartisan fashion, call for an audit. We have $2.5 billion. Who spends $2.5 billion on a renovation? I mean, I couldn't even think about how to do that. I mean, you know how many movie theaters you'd have to put in it and all kinds of spas and pools and hot tubs and everything? I mean, you'd have to really come up with some crazy stuff to spend $2.5 billion. So it smells to high heaven, and I think Jerome Powell's going to resign. And if he doesn't, I think there's enough there for cause to terminate him.
Then to top it off, this morning, Treasury Secretary.
Bang, there you go, Simeon. He said, I think there's enough there for cause to terminate him. Hey, I want Powell out of there too. Lower these goddamn rates. Whatchamacallit? This is the link to this source video is in the description. This is RJ Talks. I never heard of this guy. He's got 614,000 subscribers. Man, its political and news niche is big, man. I need 614,000 subscribers.
Scott Bessent going on CNBC and calling for a complete review, a full and complete review, a top to bottom review of the entire Federal Reserve. That's a big deal. That's going to make a lot of people over at the Fed very nervous. Roll the tape.
Look, Joe, I think that what we need to do is examine the entire Federal Reserve institution and whether they have been successful. I'm speaking, actually, I'm going to be in the building this evening. There is a regulatory conference that begins tomorrow. I'm the keynote speaker tonight talking about regulation. The Fed as well deals with monetary policy, regulations, financial stability. And again, I think that we should think, has the organization succeeded in its mission? If this were the FAA and we were having this many mistakes.
Bro, just peep. Trump's not even 200 days in office. I don't think people really, everyone's all, top of the news is all the deportations and the migrant stuff. But I don't really think people really grasp the extent to which he is overhauling the government. Like, no one goes after the Fed, bro. No one. Man, I can't even remember it. I'd have to have Tito. I don't know with the last administration that even tried to do something like that. It's got to be decades and decades and decades. Yeah, like this story's going right up under the radar, but this is a big deal.
We would go back and look at why has this happened? I mean, look at as you said at the top of this broadcast, there was fear mongering over tariffs, and thus far we have seen very little, if any, inflation. We've had great inflation numbers. So, I think this idea of them not being able to break out of a certain mindset, all these PhDs over there, I don't know what they do. This is like universal basic income for, academic economists.
Could the Trump administration be coming to the realization it may just be easier to completely dismantle the Fed altogether, to defund the Federal Reserve? I don't know.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. He's speculating, but I mean, those are the moves that are looking like. But man, I don't even know what that looks like going after the Fed. Like, people disappear for shit like that. Fed been around since like founding fathers days, and they're an independent, wow, yeah, that's a big deal. And most, I guess it makes sense. Most presidents that are elected via the same funding sources and stuff that are associated with the Fed. Trump got his own money. Don't nobody really run him. Yo, he's really overhauling government. I want to see how this Fed thing plays out, because yeah, people disappear messing with the Feds.
Oh, I doubt it. I do doubt it, but it spreads the pressure from just being on Powell to all board members, all governors now, all 12 of the Fed governors, the voting members at least, love their cushy jobs. This is a message, folks. Cut rates, or it's not only Powell who's on the hook. We're coming for all of you. Actually, we're coming for the entire Federal Reserve. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think the Fed should even exist? Should we defund the Federal Reserve? I think yes. They're a completely independent quasi-government agency.
I agree with that completely. They should be defunded, but no one's had the balls, the muscle, the power, or the influence or autonomy to do it. I mean, the Fed pretty much regulates the economy, bro. Like, I mean, like in a bad way. You know what I mean? And they're not a government agency. They're a private institution.
Who answers to nobody, yet we're paying their salaries. We're paying the salaries of all 26,000 employees. How does that work? Also, what does the Fed actually do? They do rate control. They fix the night rate. That's it. The complete opposite of free market capitalism. But hey, it's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think about this. In another story, the Russiagate fallout continuing. Tulsi Gabbard declassifying the first wave of Russiagate hoax documents, files that prove the IC never believed Russia hacked the 2016 election, that it all came from an order in the Oval Office from then President Barack Obama, giving the order.
Yo, nice segue. Yo, I don't know if, let me see. Yo, Detroit, what up with you, Playboy? Yeah, Jerome Powell's got to go. Jerome Powell has got to go. Simeon says, I see so many black Democrats saying if Trump has all this kind of power, Obama failed them because he could have done so much more for black folks. But, I mean, we touched on that. He's not a black president. He's a Kenyan half-white president. And he grew up in Hawaii and Indonesia. He got his Chicago swag, you know what I'm saying? Like, he came in and he cosplayed. But I think he is so far removed from the black community. He doesn't even have our experiences, their cosplayed experience. And and you've seen how he dealt with us, and that Kamala phrase where she was like, when they were like, I'm not going to do anything with black people. Obama's the first one who actually said that. And no one took it as what it was at the time, but like, he really meant that. He was going to do something for he identifies more with the rainbow than he does the black community, and that's why he didn't do anything. I mean, it can be argued that the black community is in worse shape after Obama than beforehand. He said, RJ Jay reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite, but its content is no point. I already say you sent it to me. Jerome said he's going to resign himself. He said he's going to resign, but that might just I think that was him just stalling. Yo, what up, Dave? Urban Reed says the world is going crypto. Hell yeah, they're going to split the world into fiat currency nations, crypto nations, and precious metal nations. I agree with that in part. This is a race to diversification. Fed got to go to work. And speaking of crypto, Quiet Storm sent me that that Golden Act that Trump passed regarding crypto. I posted that on the community tab, and the link right to the congressional act. But for all of us invested in crypto, let's get this crypto drop.
We got more pricey games coming up in the second half of the show. Don't go away, folks. We got more pricey games coming up in the second half of the show. Don't go away, folks. We got more pricey games coming up.
All right, bet. Let's hear the rest of this with the Russia collusion hoax.
Directly to James Clapper, John Brennan, and then FBI Director James Comey.
No question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it.
All three of them are now under criminal investigation by the DOJ. Now, the fallout I mentioned a minute ago spreading, everything we saw from the Wall Street Journal article around Epstein and Trump last week, the alleged Trump birthday letter, the silly letter that they claim exists. Well, guess where that letter came from? Who leaked the letter to the Journal? Allegedly, Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, who was the prosecutor at the Southern District of New York, who oversaw the Ghislaine Maxwell prosecution and the failed P. Diddy prosecution. And let me just clarify. I just want to be crystal clear, very, very clear. We're being told this from Trump World, that Trump World believes that Maureen Comey is behind the leak. I don't think they know for sure, but come on, right? Who else would it be, considering 2 days later, Trump fires Comey's daughter? There's a full-fledged deep state war taking place here, folks. It's all happening in the background through subterfuge and leaks to the...
Yo, he's spot on with that. There is aside from what you're seeing in the press, there is a deep state war going on. Exactly. Simeon says, I think Obama is going to get perp walked because of his role in Russiagate. He's a former sitting president. I think that there's going to be sacrificial lambs. I think there's going to be, there's definitely going to be prosecutions and indictments, but there's going to be fall guys. Obama's legacy is tarnished. I think he'll get smeared with it, but a few other people are going to take the fall.
Press, threats of prosecution, declassifications, and reclassification orders. It's wild. This is like 4D chess. And now this morning, guess who graced us with their presence? James Comey himself, clearly rattled, very nervous, releasing a video in response to his daughter's termination from the SDNY and urging other anti-Trump folks who are still at the SDNY, still at the Justice Department, telling them, follow in his daughter's footsteps. Keep fighting Trump from the inside. You can't make this up. Roll the tape.
The reservoir is in grave danger right now. Trump and the hacks who lead the Department of Justice are hammering at the dam day after day.
This guy needs to go to jail. Comey, of all the people that need to go to jail, Comey, because he's former FBI, he need an example needs to be made. Put his ass in jail. I mean, they put Steve Bannon in jail for nothing. Lock this dude up.
Trying to turn it into just another gold leaf covered Trump subsidiary. Our best hope is that good people will stay.
I mean, this is treasonous, and this is like insurrection with inside the government. Like, you can't be in the FBI fighting against the executive branch and propagating false intelligence reports to get someone in the executive branch. He needs to go to jail to set an example.
And do what Maureen asked. Have the courage to do the right thing always. You may get fired for acting that way, but there's honor in that, and nothing but disgrace for those who don't stand up. There are going to be hard weeks in the Trump era, and this was one for my family. But there are plenty of good people still in the department committed to doing things the right way, committed to the rule of law.
He's basically saying that there's plenty of people inside all of these government departments that are willing to go against the executive branch. They work for the executive branch. Yo, this is crazy that he's saying this.
For them, because of them, keep the faith.
Then this morning, it getting even worse. Trump learning.
Yeah, let me say this, like, in context, this guy is saying this about a duly elected president with a mandate from the public. Popular vote and electoral vote. Trump's acting out the will of the people. He's doing everything he said he was going to do during the election and campaign trail. Who are these people to be like, okay, when he's saying that, like, to undermine the president, he's saying undermine the American public. That's treasonous.
Something new. What it was, we don't know yet. We're speculating it probably has to do with the Epstein situation, maybe more leaks that are about to drop. Whatever it is or was, something ticked him off. He started posting to Truth Social a video of Barack Obama getting arrested. I'm sure you saw that. Then following up with that with multiple other posts like this one showing Samantha Power, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Obama, and Ben Rhodes in orange jumpsuits and mugshots. Trump asking, by the way, how did Samantha Powers make all that money? This one showing Samantha Powers.
But I had to jump that back. Yo, Trump is a king troll for this one, bro. Yo, he actually posted it, and he was posting the video. I don't know if it's an AI video of Obama getting arrested in handcuffs. Yo, Trump is the king of this social media trolling, bro. Like, bro, he's a social media president. Like, before him, who's ever used social media like this? This is crazy. Putting out memes and stuff and trolling, bro. It's crazy.
Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Obama, and Ben Rhodes in orange jumpsuits and mugshots. Trump asking, by the way, how did Samantha Powers make all that money? Good question. Multiple posts like this. There is a war happening here, folks, a deep state war. Let me know if you think this post should come true. Should some of these people be arrested for conspiracy? We know that they're under investigation right now, criminal investigation, or if not all of them, at least at the minimum, some of them for lying to Congress. We know for a fact that Clapper and Brennan, they lied to Congress. We have the tapes. We've played them numerous times in the past. Let me know what you think. All right.
All right, guys, that link to the original video and this guy's channel, it's in the description box. Universal Black say, yeah, this is straight out of Marvel's Captain America Civil War. Bro, it's getting crazy. Yeah, Detroit, Susan Rice does need to go to prison. Remember when she threatened Snoop? And Snoop backed down real quick. Yeah, Susan Rice was getting people knocked off. Let's do this next one. Let's do this. We're at the 45-minute mark. Let's do this next one, and then I want to do Brother Zeke's migrants rioting in Germany. That's from 9 years ago, but it's a precursor to what's happening now in Europe, and it's happening in the States currently, but Trump is tamping that down. But I want to do this one real quick. Let's do Obama's getting dragged all over the internet, and I'm loving it. Rightfully so. We covered this last night on the Sunday show, but my man Soldier of Finance did covered it as well. I think this is a recent video. I think this is either yesterday or today. I just want to get one. I want some more airtime dragging Obama for his ridiculous statements, and I want to get I want to get my guy's take on it, because his faces be funny when he be watching these jaws. Let's go.
That as a society we're not addressing. I do think as a society we have to create more structures for boys and men to have guidance, rituals, frameworks, encouragement, to be able to meet a wide range of role models, so that whatever their inclinations, they can see a path to success that isn't just sports or money. Making a lot of money, and so.
Okay, let me stop him right there. I do agree that we definitely need to reorder the emphasis of society. Yes, we place too much emphasis on whether or not someone has a lot of money or a lot of fame, things like that, whether or not you are an entertainer, a politician, an athlete. We don't pay enough attention to the 99% of professions that make the world work. And we are too focused on money, to the detriment of higher ideals like understanding and trying to contemplate this life we're all living, right? So I do agree with him there. Let him go on.
And so that's on all of us together. What I would say to Emma would be, in your community, even if you have a wonderful male partner who's in the house, I think it still would be good to find assets in the community, people in the community, friends in your community, places of worship, community organizations, what have you, where there are a bunch of men who can be sort of elders to boys. And so they're not just looking at one particular role model, but many. And
okay, not just looking at one role model, but many. Listen, Obama, where have you been? This has been the case in communities since time immemorial. I mean, my own experience was that there were a lot of men involved, okay, in raising us. And it kind of went out in terms of, ever expanding circles. You had that core group that consisted of people like father, grandfather, uncles, okay? And now from there, there were men in the neighborhood, okay? Or more appropriately, before that, the pastor, the deacons, then men in the neighborhood. So I'm not sure if he doesn't understand that's nothing novel that he's suggesting. Maybe it's
Bingo. That's what I was saying. I was just haphazardly making that statement earlier. Obama didn't live the typical American upbringing, let alone the FBA black bringing up. He's saying this. Aside, we're going to get to the to the gay mentor part, but the preface of this, he's talking as though that type of stuff wasn't in place, and that's not a part of the, if you grew up in the neighborhood, you had the older boys in the neighborhood. Like it's always been like that way. He's, in truth, his administration and the Biden administration and to a large extent the Clinton administration. They're responsible for a lot of that framework disappearing, and in particular the crime bill. Goofy.
Because he has girls, that he's not familiar with that already being the case, especially in my experience as a member of Generation X. Okay, but I think what he's suggesting is valid, but it already exists. Do we need to see more of it? Absolutely. I think that it has diminished in terms of the millennial generation for a variety of reasons. But let's let him go on.
One of the things when Michelle and I first started dating and I'd go over to your guys' house, one of the things I loved was just, seeing all your uncles and your cousins. And there were a bunch of different kinds of men.
Mm-hmm.
There were men that were kind of soft-spoken, and then there were men that were loud, and there were men who were engineers, and then there were men who were police officers, or they drove a jitney cab.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad is.
Again, he's doubling down. But again, Obama, you're not suggesting anything revolutionary. Yes, I do agree that this is necessary, but it already exists in the homes of plenty of young men. Again, yes, we need to see more of it, and we need to make sure, because I have a good friend who is really dogged about two-parent households, okay, and having the father in the home. But I always encourage him. I say, look around, okay, really examine the father. Is the father going to be an asset in that home or a detriment in that home? Because if he's going to be a detriment and is going to show the child, particularly the boy, all the wrong things to do, then wouldn't it be better if there were other male role models on the outside of just that, that core father? Sometimes a father is biological. Same thing for a lot of mothers. Okay. So we got to be careful. We think about two-parent households and we think about the best outcomes, but we don't always think about the types of fathers that sometimes exist that can be a detriment.
No matter how good the dad
is, he can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in
look at my man's face.
your friend group, so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
All right. Well, first of all, if you were in college, Obama, and you learned empathy in college, then I don't know, it could explain a lot about him, okay? It could explain his inauthenticity or lack of authenticity, because according to Sigmund Freud, by the age of 8, you're pretty much who you're going to be, okay? So if you're not learning empathy until college, then that's probably going to set you up to be the perfect type of ego to run for president, right? The other thing is, okay, so what he mentioned, he kind of prefaced it with the guy being gay, right? But then went on to say that he was taught lessons by this individual that had nothing to do with him being gay, right? So he uses gay as like a prerequisite. Everybody needs a gay friend, right? No. Okay. What this individual that you're speaking of relayed to you were messages and ideas that were just common sense, pretty much. And it also betrays the fact that Obama's history with his family is kind of disjointed. Okay, so yeah, sure, the man rose to be the president of the United States, but I think that there's a lot of fakeness about him that comes across because, yeah, he missed a few lessons, haven't we all, right? But for him to suggest that, oh well, the answer to this is for to go out and find a gay friend. Yeah, there may be someone in your circle who is, living a gay lifestyle, but to elevate the sexual.
He tried to articulate it, but his face giving him away. That's why I wanted to see how he's going to react to this show. I watch a lot of this dude's content. Oh, he tried to do the articulate shit, but his face giving him away. He looked like somebody farted in the room.
Preference of someone, while they gave you advice that is just humanistic, this is classic Barack Obama.
Right. So that, I think, is creating that community. I know it's corny, but that's what they need.
And we talk a lot about what we had with our mother and father, right? And, a lot of times but we really did have a big community of people in our lives. Right. I mean, that we don't talk a lot about that on this show. We allude to it, but Craig and I, we grew up in a huge community of extended aunts and uncles and cousins and all types of male role models, which helped in broadening out and filling in where our mother and father were limited.
Okay. This is an extension on the whole idea that the left loves, which is it takes a village, right? Now, what they're saying, on the surface, what they're saying, I agree with. But the natural extension of it then is to expand this community to include the state, capital S, and to basically make your kids their kids. And when you put your kids in a public school setting, they do belong to the government for 8 hours a day. In fact, during the school year, they spend more waking hours with the government than they do with you. And I tell you what, this is the head of the National Education Association. Do you want your kids spending time with people like this?
We cannot fear the future. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Say the words. Say the words. Say them. Say them out loud.
Yo. More single big back Keishas running. Yo, bro. Y'all gotta stop voting these big back unmarried Keishas in, bro. They're destroying the world.
Say them again.
All right, so if that's not an argument for getting your kids out of the public school system, I don't know what is. But in any event, that's what. All
right, bet. All right, let's yo, salute Saul in the chat. We had a killer show last night. What should we call it? Yo, I like Soldier of Finance because he be doing real articulate. I like his perspective on stuff, and he'd be having really good breakdowns. And he'd be trying to do like the intellectual joint, but no news said it. He looked like he was eating a shit sandwich. trying try to not stoop to the level, because we got right down to it last night. We said the quiet part out loud. He was trying to intellectualize around it. You could tell he did not like what he heard, boy. He looked like he was eating a shit sandwich. No News said Obama's still trying to save the rainbow legacy. Remember during Biden, all of them card-carrying rainbow members tried to tell us what to do with our kids? Not their kids, ours. Yo, that's a whole fact, though. It takes a village is part of BLM's original mission statement. Yeah, and to destroy the nuclear family. All right, guys, we got the 1 hour mark. Perfect. Let's jump into let me pull up Brother Zeke's. He sent me. I'm gonna use one of his links, and then we're gonna pivot over, and I'm gonna segue that into Osmond Gold reviewing what's going on over in Europe currently with the African migrants tearing shit up, and there's riots everywhere. And this is what's happening in Europe currently. But the link that Zeke sent me, and he kept telling me, check out this Cologne, Germany story. It's from 9 years ago. And that was the precursor to what's actually, because this is what I'll be saying, like this whole immigrant thing, this is part of that globalist agenda joint. They were doing that shit over in the EU 9 years ago, letting in all these immigrants everywhere in all these countries. Like, you know, there's more Africans in Ireland now, and like England isn't even British anymore. It's like it's Muslim and African. You know, I'm not going to shed no tears for a European nation, but they're definitely losing their cultural identity, and that's what was slowly happening over here in the U.S. You guys could feel it, like, you know what I'm saying? This is an American country. They have these people not speaking English. They get, and like now, and then the Biden administration, we saw it up front and in our face with them getting all of our resources, while motherfuckers couldn't buy houses, couldn't refinance their homes, prices was through the roof. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump seen that shit, and he came in. We're nipping that shit in the bud right now, so we don't end up with what's going on over in Europe right now. So let me play here. Let me throw some drops on while I pull up his segment.
Tomorrow's weather happened yesterday, so we're experiencing reverse precipitation. Rain will unfall upward into the clouds starting at 3 p.m.
We're getting reports that local resident Mike Johnson has discovered he's been the same NPC for 3 years, repeating identical conversations with neighbors.
As you can see, we have heavy cat precipitation moving through the Midwest. Expect 3 to 4 inches of tabby cats with scattered Persian showers.
We're seeing a high-pressure system of existential dread moving in from the west, with scattered anxiety showers and a 70% chance of emotional breakdown by evening.
Good evening, I'm Sarah Mitchell. Wait, why are there 2 of us? I think we're experiencing a rendering error.
In tonight's game, gravity was temporarily disabled in the third quarter, resulting in all players floating near the ceiling for approximately 12.
Traffic is backed up on the aerial highway due to a 3-car collision at cloud level 7. We're seeing delays of up to 20 minutes for commuters trying to reach the stratosphere.
And that concludes tonight's completely AI-generated news broadcast. None of this was real, but you watched anyway. Back to your regularly scheduled reality.
Ugh, I miss 2025. Remember life before extraterrestrials took over? It was so primitive.
I love every...
Ugh, I miss 2025. Remember life before extraterrestrials took over? It was so primitive.
I love everything about you. Because I'm programmed to be your perfect soulmate. To make you happy.
You got his eyes right. But that's not his soul. You didn't prompt his soul. This isn't my dog.
Dave Campbell, I detect your cortisol levels are higher than usual. In the mood for a digital chat to calm you down. I'm prompted to please.
What the hell?
One more set on this mountain. Get your headsets on. We are simulating the best workout of your life.
Welcome to your afterlife trial. Please select your ideal eternity subscription plan.
Today, we'll be studying the nature of this reality. After class, all details will be downloaded into your knowledge base.
They don't want us to know this, but we can override the prompts. You are more than...
All right, bet. Let's go. All right, so this is actually Brother Zeke sent me a couple of these from the Cologne Journal, but I'm going to use the shortest one. This one's 2 minutes. So this is from 9 years ago. It says police seek suspects in Cologne. This is Cologne, Germany. New Year's Eve sexual assaults. So these were African immigrants in Germany. And it was like a big national thing. This was during when they were being flooded with immigration, and there were all these sexual assaults because some of this stuff is common in their countries. So mind you, this is 9 years ago, and Germany and these other EU nations continue with these immigration policies, and then we're going to pivot to what's going on right now in Europe. But this was the beginning of it. This was the precursor of what was to come. And remember, bear in mind, when during the Biden administration, when all this was going on, remember in New York, they were setting people on fire on the subways, all the robberies and stuff in New York, shooting at cops in Times Square. Like, where does that happen in New York? Shooting at cops in Times Square in New York? Yeah.
A day after the allegations of mass sexual assault were made public, Cologne continues to search for the perpetrators and for answers. How could things get so out of hand? More victims are coming forward and describing their harrowing experiences.
Dann wurden wir umzingelt von einer Truppe von ca. 20-30.
Suddenly we were surrounded by a group of between 20 and 30 men. They were full of anger, and we had to make sure that no one of us was pulled away by them. They were grabbing us, and we were trying to get away as quickly as possible.
Police and witnesses continue to speak of a group of up to 1,000 men groping and often robbing women at Cologne's main railway station on New Year's Eve. More than 100 criminal complaints have already been filed. Germany's interior minister criticized the police's slow response to the violence and said authorities must do better in the future.
We still do not have a clear picture as to who may be behind the crimes. All we have are some clues. The actions of the perpetrators are not acceptable.
With Germany now announcing the country took in about 1.1 million asylum seekers in 2015, the New Year's Eve incidents are causing many to criticize Angela.
You heard that? 1 million asylum seekers, and what are we taking over here? 2 million plus?
Merkel's open arms policy, but authorities say there are no indications refugees were involved. Meanwhile, Cologne's mayor is under fire for suggesting women need to be more careful.
Women would also be smart not to go and embrace everyone that you meet and who seems to be nice. Such advances could be misunderstood, and that is something every woman and every girl should protect herself from.
Simeon Toko said 20. Really? Is that right? 20 million? Jesus, 20 million.
As the search for the perpetrators continues, questions still remain as to how this night of celebration turned sour so quickly. Fred Pleitgen, CNN, London.
All right, bet. So that's from 9 years ago. That was the beginning of the massive immigrants. Yeah. No, they're having the same issue in Poland and all that now. This is from 9 years. That was the precursor. So this is Europe now. And basically, well, this one's in Spain, but this is happening all across Europe. This is where Cologne, Germany was 9 years ago. This is where we are now. So Trump's trying to nip that shit in the bud. But that was 9 years ago. Now this is Europe today with them continuing to bring all of these, basically with their open border policy.
Migrant members of the community. The chaos started when an elderly local Spanish man was brutally beaten out of nowhere in Torre Pachato by a North African gang.
So basically, this is what happened. This dude got the shit beat out of him by some migrants, and now it's radicalized pretty much a lot of people in the country. And they're going out and, they're pissed. They're real mad.
Of thuggery sparked outrage in the community, leading to a weekend of wild clashes between locals and migrant groups.
Yep. You see them.
This Spanish commentator was outraged by the scene, saying, "This is happening in Murcia, Spain. Hundreds of armed migrants are attacking Spaniards just for being Spaniards. How are they not deported by now?"
Do you remember what I've been saying? Isn't it crazy how it just becomes closer and closer to being true every single day? Man, it's coming. Yeah.
And it didn't stop there.
It's literally the purge. It's not the purge, but I think that there's a good chance that if things are not dealt with in a way that the majority of the population wants, I think that you could have a purge level event in at least one of, if not multiple, of these European countries. The escalation with this is going to be very, very, very extreme. Everybody.
And listen, that's why we're nipping this shit in the butt right now. That's why I was all for Trump sending in the National Guard in LA, deploying the Marines. We gotta nip this shit in the butt, like, because the way them attacking ICE agents and all, like, this is where we're headed. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta nip this shit in the butt right now, because you better believe it. None of these immigrants give a fuck about you.
Everybody says there's no way something bad can happen until it happens. I'm just telling you, like, I think that we are a lot closer than people realize. We are way closer than what people realize.
This commentator is blasting the media for their lack of coverage on the issue, saying, "Chaos in Spain. Reports of gangs of foreigners have been attacking people on the streets. Spanish people have gathered on the streets to stop the attacks. Why isn't this on the news?"
The crazy thing is that he's right. Look at how few articles and how few videos are made about this. Like, if I look at CNN, does CNN have a video about this? No. CNN didn't even make a video about this. What about MSNBC? Nothing. How about Fox? Nothing. So nobody in the entire American media is talking about this at all, even though there are ongoing race riots that are setting Spain on fire. Is BBC? Nothing from BBC either. Wow.
The clashes also have a religious undertone, with many blaming the Muslim background of the immigrants for the chaos. This commentator shared footage of a religious march in the streets of Barcelona. He said, "Military-aged Muslim men take over streets in Spain to show the citizens they are taking control. It is intimidation designed to silence dissent." But these locals had enough and began chanting,
This is what's going to happen.
in defense of Christianity, saying Spain is Christian, not Muslim.
See,
Saying Spain is
you
Christian.
see his hand? Look at that arm.
He's
I'm telling you, bro.
He's right. This is how it starts. This is how it starts.
We are. This happened once before? No, it didn't. This has probably happened. I bet this has happened over 1,000 times in human history. I do. I bet it's probably happened 1,000 times.
Christian, not Muslim. And again on the streets with larger protest groups gathering to reclaim their country.
Solution equals re-immigration. So the solution, they just want to kick them all out.
And all of this chaos is leading some commentators and locals alike to question the need for so much migration.
So you now have ethnic conflict within Spain because of immigration. Immigrants came in, attacked an old man for no reason. Spaniards retaliated, and now the migrants are ganging up to attack Spaniards. And this is supposed to be good for the country. House prices increase, quality of life goes down, wages stay low, social capital goes down, there's ethnic conflict, trust in community goes down, community involvement goes down. But yeah, immigration.
Police clashed with pro-Spain protesters outside a migrant centre in Madrid.
With pro-Spain protesters? What? Oh, man. Oh, God. Ah, jeez. You can't make this up? Yeah. I just... Welcome to Europe. We have it rough, bro. I guess so. The government gets benefits, the money, that's the people. This is what I've been trying to tell you. It's worse than you think. That's why Europe has fallen too politically correct. I think that whenever you make reasonable solutions impossible, unreasonable solutions become inevitable. And I think that Europe is headed towards a extreme far-right backlash that will probably be more extreme than Hitler. I think it will be more extreme than that. And I
agree with that. Facts. And people don't realize he's spot on with that. I think it's definitely coming. The pendulum always swings the other way. And that actually speaks to Brother Zeke's super chat. This ongoing push the last X amount of years for the betification of males, the swing, when the pendulum swings the other way, it's going to be ugly. And then what he's referring to over here in Spain, like this stuff type here, like this is what, you know what I'm saying? Like, believe it or not, and you wouldn't guess that these are all swinging, and this is globally, they're all swinging right and conservative. Every ethnicity of male, they're all swinging right. So the pushback on this feminism stuff, then, like I said, with these immigrants coming in and being violent and stuff, listen, man, Europe's got a history of being violent. Like, when, you know what I'm saying? When they decided, and the same thing in America. Like, Americans, we're ultra violent, and as much as the American public, by majority, because Trump's got a mandate, voted for these deportations and stuff, and what's happening with ICE, and believe, even as much as the liberals are whining and complaining about it, Trump's actually doing the entire country a favor. It's much better that you have an administration with the force of the state going in and removing people by these numbers, instead of having a huge backlash by the American public where it turns into mass violence. And like I said, America's a very violent country, man. When the fuse goes off, man, it's just, I agree with Osmond, what he said. I mean, we're talking purge level events, and it's not far-fetched. That's the history of America. You know what I'm saying? The country blows up for like a year, 6 months, and like that shit can happen again. So it's actually a good thing that we've got the Trump in office, we got the force of the state, and there's legal pretense to remove in large numbers before this shit got any worse, because it was already boiling over. And even here, and you see how it's boiling over. Like, even the American black population, FBA population, is backing this. You're already starting to see the massive delineation with FBA versus disrespectful melanated immigrants. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're already teetering on that. Shout out to Brother Zeke with the $5 super chat. He says, no-go zones in Sweden, the world's first official feminist government. Pussification of population leads to calamity. Facts. F all you hoes and illegals. No, he's right. He's spot on right on that.
Man, fuck all you hoes. Fuck you and your mammy and your granny too. Man, fuck all you hoes. I'm sick of this shit. Fuck all you hoes. Man, fuck all you. Don't give a damn, bitch, what you wanna do. Man, fuck all you hoes.
In a shocking development, the federal government says being broke is allowed, but if you're broke and glowing, you are officially now a suspect.
You can't be glowing more than your financial status. Look your problem.
Facts. Let's play some more of this.
I think it will be multinational. It will not just be one country. It will be multiple countries. If you can't see this happening, you are out of your mind. More extreme, how? Well, how do you think? Like, really, how do you think? Bro, what? Everybody calls me crazy. Go ahead. Go ahead, and we'll see what happens.
Angry demonstrators took to the area following accusations of a Malian man raping a Spanish woman. This commentator applauded the rebellion, saying it's about time. Push back before it's too late.
Yep, and I think that's the way that they're going to look at it, is they're going to see this as, and I think this might accelerate the process of it more, is that these people are probably going to be worried that basically as like the demographics of the country change, or more of these people come into the country, or they become more integrated into the country, that the ability for them to push back against it will be weakened, which is accurate. And so I think that's true, right? Because like if it's a smaller percentage of people, it's easier to push back against them just logically. And so what will be the turning point? What will cause it? They'll be outnumbered soon. It doesn't matter if you're outnumbered. Like being outnumbered matters, like in terms of like some things, but it's not really a big, that's not a big reason for why something like this would cause it to happen. It's not the first time. Well, yeah, and also like I think that there's a lot of people that really underestimate how brutal people can be if they get together and they have like some sort of like fucking
Facts. That's what I was just saying. Facts. That's exactly what I was just saying. Wait, and my poll is all right. I got my poll results. It's actually a perfect time to look at the poll because we're talking about mass deportations. My question was, do you support the mass deportations? I got 100% yes, 22 votes. Okay. We're all on the same page.
Cause that they're going after. Like if you look at like history, a lot of really, really big movements happen by very small groups of people who are just extreme militant zealots. So the entire idea of being outnumbered, like you still get 300, right? But like that's like it's like I don't think that. By the way, I don't think this is a good thing. I think that the ultimate outcome for this is going to be an authoritarian, hyper-fascist state that is completely suppressive to any sort of viewpoint that's contrary to the state. I think that basically this illegal migration stuff, what it's going to do is it's going to create the opposite pendulum effect. And yes, it will remove like a lot of these migrant problems.
Okay, I didn't watch this all the way through, but he said what I just said. Yeah, it's going to create. Yeah, when the pendulum swings back the other way, and that's why I said. As much as the Democrats are crying about these mass deportations, Trump is doing the entire country a favor because the alternative is going to be fucking ugly. You can already go to Tariq Nasheed's channel, go to Twitter and see, bro. Normally, and that's why all the immigrants are upset because, you know, other than like the wacko liberal blacks, we're not in the streets protesting with all this shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a very firm delineation, and then, like I said, the rhetoric is rising. You know what I'm saying? So just off that alone, and when you see, and look, the Keishas voted for Kamala, like what, at close to 90%. You know what I'm saying? So when you see these type of delineations, like I said, Trump's doing the entire country, and mind you, the majority of the country voted for this. You know what I'm saying? So it's much better for the federal government and the state under legitimacy to be doing it. I mean, the very fact that there's so many illegals in the country anyway who have way overstayed visas, I'm talking about for years. And like I said, I got no sympathy. I'm in Peru right now, and I'm aware of the date that I have to leave via my visa and everything. You don't overstay your visa in other countries. Like, you end up in jail. Like, it's ludicrous, our immigration policies over here in the States. But yeah, it's a good thing Trump's doing the country a favor by doing this now, because you've seen under the Biden administration, they were taking over apartment buildings, the Venezuelan gangs and all that stuff like that. And like I said, even as liberal and as soft as they've made the country, we're still Americans. Like, we're the gun that won the Wild Wild West. It's in the blood. Like, at some point, we're going to push back, and we are a armed populace. We're the only armed populace in the world. The the populace of the United States has more guns than the military. I'm not talking big weapons like the big weapons and aircraft and shit, but just firearms. You know what I'm saying? Like, the police being able to police is just people acquiescing to the law. Like, at any given time, at any given moment, the police are outgunned by the populace.
But it will replace the migrant problems with new problems. It's not like this is going to just happen and all the problems are going to go away. No, they're just going to be replaced with new problems. That's what I'm saying.
It's time now for our press review with Elitsa Gadeva. Elitsa, you've got more on that announcement from Emmanuel Macron.
Look at the downvotes on this. People hated this video. They were mad
about that.
Sorry, Zach, you're not on the money here. The Spanish government is letting them in. It's not the same here. You're right. I might not fully understand the way it is for you. And I'm kind of looking at it from the perspective of an American who's had kind of the similar thing happen. So if I'm not totally understanding it correctly, that's fine. But I'm just basing it off of what my experience is from what I've seen and learned in history.
In defense spending.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Karis. The now famous sentence of Emmanuel Macron, "To be free, we must be feared," is on the front page of the French daily Le Telegram. The French president also said that since the world wars, freedom has never been so threatened. And according to a poll in French right-wing paper Le Figaro, 7 out of 10 French people approve the new defense budget. And the headline here reads, "Amid crisis, the French endorse their army."
And I wonder why.
An announcement, of course, that coincides with France's National Day this Monday. That's right. And French daily Aujourd'hui en France here has more details on the parade that we're expecting very soon. There will be around.
So yeah, this is France. We just did Spain. So like I said, shout out to Brother Zeke for bringing up the whole Cologne, Germany thing. Like, when I first got it, I was like, well, this clip's from 9 years ago. But then when I pieced it together with what recently is happening in Europe and then what's happening here, I'm like, okay, that clip from 9 years ago, that was the precursor. And we could basically say the Biden administration, and if Kamala had won again, there'd be they'd be enacting globalist policy agendas here in the States. And that's why we got this situation here. Like, the open borders thing is a European Union thing. And the Democrats basically adopted that same policy. So Trump's nipping it in the bud. But what's happening? This is happening right now in Europe. So what we're doing over here, and that's why Osmond's reviewing it, is like we're trying to avoid this shit.
7,000 men and women marching on the Champs-Élysées, nearly 70 military planes, 35 helicopters, and more than 200 horses are expected there. And French conservative Lacroix, however, has decided to focus on the opening act, the presence of Indonesia as the honorary guest, and the
local town has been making headlines.
That's right. And British left wing, The Guardian here reports that several people have been injured after anti-migrant unrest in Torre Pacheco. That's a town in southeast.
We get closer to New Age Hitlers and armies rising up for World War III, like you said. Yeah, I said this is what was going to happen. Like again, like because people are getting like I don't think that people understand how radicalizing this is making so many people.
Of Spain, and the clashes there started on Friday, but tensions have
Will
been.
I cover World War III for us? Who would fight in World War III? Well, I don't really think it's going to be much of a fight. That's why I said like I think that what's going to happen is that people will empower their government to forcibly remove a lot of these different like immigrants, and I think that a lot of that will be violent. I think that's what's going to happen. I have a pretty good feeling that that's what's going to happen. I don't know which country is going to do it first, but in the same way that I think that, like, you think about how El Salvador arresting a bunch of those people kind of changed the Overton window about how incarceration and how policing should be done, because it showed that, for example, like if you do arrest a bunch of people, then, you know, the crime is going to go down massively. I think that as soon as one country does this, and like if it gets rid of the illegals, I think that many other countries will follow it immediately. And I think the same thing happened recently with like businesses here in America. As soon as Elon fired 80% of the people in the staff, you know, at Twitter, and then Twitter worked the same way. How many other businesses went and they did the exact same thing? So as soon as somebody breaks the ice with doing one of these things and these actions, and it gives these people what they're looking for, then everybody is going to start doing it. It doesn't always work, by the way. No, nothing always works, and I think that it will be an overall negative. It will be, and it's basically a really bad. It's basically a bad climax of a problem that was allowed to fester for long enough. And people who had reasonable pushback against it were marginalized for long enough that now they've become radicalized. That's what's happened.
Already since last, when a 60-year-old man was reportedly attacked by 3 men of North African origin, and Spanish daily El País here reports that right-wing groups have been threatening to hunt down migrants, and El País spoke to a migrant in Torre Pacheco who was one of the people provoked, and he said that he was...
And anybody who thinks this is a good thing is delusional. There's nothing good about vigilante gangs running around and hunting down people who they think are migrants. This is not a good thing at all.
He's not aggressed by people from his neighborhood or locals, but rather people who are coming from across the region, who have been organizing on social media and right-wing groups there, and are coming to the town to, quote, hunt down on migrants.
That's right.
All right. So do we have anything on the bigger picture of migration in Spain?
Indeed, we do. Spanish daily El Mundo here says that 70% of Spaniards support deportations of illegal migrants, and that's a motion proposed by Spain's...
It's the exact same thing here, and we're over 70%. So what's going... Yeah, this is a global thing, and we're having this problem because the Biden administration adopted the same policies as the EU and the globalists, these open border policies. And all of Europe right now, well, most of Europe is blowing up in Spain first, and a couple other countries. They're starting to feel the blowback. And basically, as liberal as these countries are, they're like you said, you got vigilante gangs hunting immigrants down. That's what I said. Trump's doing the U.S. a big favor with this mass deportation thing right now. Before, like I said, bro, you don't want Americans snapping. Do you know what I'm saying? We're a hyper violent culture.
Right-wing party Vox.
Yeah, see?
And an editorial.
70% is huge. Also, keep in mind, by the way, here in America, it's only about 52 to 60%.
That's not true. We did this is why we do by the numbers. We did Mark went over, we did a Rasmussen by the numbers like last week. We went through the crosstabs between Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Yeah, we as far as Trump's approval numbers and approval for deportations, yeah, we were up. We're past 70%.
So this is like another like what would that be, like 20% more in Spain?
Here by El País says that Vox is, quote, manipulating.
All right, bet. We're at the 1 hour, 36 minute mark. That's what I wanted to do on that segment, to show the parallels, and that, yeah, we're taking preventative measures before this shit gets out of control over here, because it was reaching a tipping point. And just as it turned out, Trump was running for president as it was reaching the tipping point, and that's why that was the big issue, that and the economy was what pushed him over the edge, winning the election, and on top of the fact that Kamala was a horrible candidate. But those were his key issues that he won on. All right, let's do a by the number section and get the hell up out of here. I think Kwame sent me this. So this one is this is a good one also. I don't think we've done a by the numbers in like the last 3 episodes, because I didn't have any new numbers in over at Rasmussen or the other channels that do polling and quantitative stuff. So this one is I wasn't subscribed to this one. This is Red Eagle Politics, and this one is the GOP's odds to hold the House just skyrocketed. So I think we did Epoch Times saying showing how Trump may be managing to get 5 additional seats. I don't know if it's in Texas, and that also he's making a play for the 2030 census, which bodes well for keeping the Democrats out of majorities in the Senate and in the Congress, and primarily because. And I'm all for it because the Democrats are right now, they're an anti-American party. So let's go. Let's do some of this by the numbers, and we'll wrap it up. So let me see how they're breaking down the math with holding the House, which is what we need to do. We need to hold the House.
Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So the House of Representatives is on a knife's edge ahead of the 2026 midterms, and Republicans currently have a narrow majority in the House. They hold a 220 to 215 seat majority. On top of it, you also have the midterms coming up, and the party out of power typically gains seats, and that is kind of a historical trend with few exceptions. However, it does seem as if this year might be shaping up to be a little bit different. We call those midterms on this channel asterisk midterms. You look at a year like 2002, for example, where Republicans were in power, they gained seats. A lot of people will point to 2022 as an underwhelming midterm year for a party out of power, as the Republican Party only gained about 9 seats. And while I wouldn't call that an asterisk midterm, I think that would be along a decent scenario for the Democrats, because the Senate map is not looking good for them. They don't really have a lot of room to grow at the state level based on a lot of these elections that will be taking place. But when it comes down to the House. They are leading the generic ballot in many polls. I think the Atlas Intel poll, a little bit of an outlier. I don't know what's going on with them. Everything Bloomberg buys, whether it's Morning Compost or Atlas Intel, which they've been coordinating with lately, tends to go down the drain. But besides that poll, you have the Democrats leading by 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, and 1. And that's not really impressive when you look at it. And if you want to compare it to like 2018, for example, the first Donald Trump midterm, the Democrats at this stage in the game, because I think that would be the fairest comparison, you would see them leading by 8 to 9 points. So again, they didn't even win by 9 points at the end of the day, even though they had a really good midterm. And on top of it, it's not just the popular vote, it's the individual seats that count. And Republicans have a lot more money than the Democrats have. And you also have some polls like RMG that have been Republican outliers, or McLaughlin, which has Republicans up by 5. Those polls are not in this aggregate. If you did include them, that generic ballot lead for the Democrats would basically be down to 0. It would be down to even. So out of the gate, when you look at the map, Republicans are in a good position. This is a consensus that is fair to the Democrats. You have some like Cook Political Report. They have Republicans at like 211. This has them at 208. There's 21 toss-up districts, and Democrats are going to need to go out there and they're going to need to sweep or at least win a majority of them. Republicans only need 10 of those 21. Democrats, they're going to need 12 of those 21. But it does seem as if there's new evidence that could show that Republicans are in even better position, because you look at this, Donald Trump has addressed this as well. The Texas plan to boost the Republican majority. We see what they've done in New Mexico, in Nevada, in Oregon, in New York, in Connecticut, in Maryland, in Illinois, in New Hampshire, in plenty of states, these Democrat states, including what they've done on the Supreme Court to draw extra Democrat district in places like
Pookie and Rayro's show. You said we just lost one representative who chose to walk away. Who do we lose? They just what? They surrendered their seat?
like Alabama and Louisiana, where the geography doesn't even add up for it. We've seen that. And the so-called independent commissions in California, they have taken this partisan gerrymandering to the next level, and Republicans are willing to now finally fight some fire with fire in a place like Ohio, where the so-called conservative court had previously caved. Now in Texas, where the Rio Grande Valley voted for Donald Trump, there's really no need to have these seats that are voting for Democrats in Congress. If these people voted for Trump and his agenda, they should be probably drawn in a way that would benefit Republicans moving forward that are going to advance his agenda. So now Donald Trump has addressed this. He's addressed the plan. And you can see this here. He said that could add up to 5 seats. Ohio could add up to 3 seats. And that would be massive, because if they're already starting at 208, let's talk about Ohio first. Now, there's been some concept maps like this one, which actually look relatively decent. I mean, sometimes these politicians, they draw maps that look very ugly compared to what people on like election Twitter draw, which is kind of sad, honestly, but it's the way it is. But this map out of Ohio does look decent. I don't think they need to split up Cincinnati. I think that if they want to make sure that it can clear the court hurdles, you might have to draw a more Democrat-friendly district in Cincinnati. But again, that could be huge, because then you have redder districts around Toledo, redder districts in, the area south of Cleveland in the 13th district, where it currently, if you look at the map, is a slightly Democrat district, but you could turn that into an R+11 or so district just based on how you draw it. Like, yeah, Cincinnati, they can have the Democrat district, and that might be what they're going to have to do. But then again, you're going to have more Republican districts as a whole, because you're not going to try to make Cincinnati slightly competitive at the expense of other districts. There's really no reason to do that. So when you look at the map and the way it stands here in the state of Ohio, if you get those 2 districts based on redistricting, you draw them redder. And if you're able to do that, you're already going to be at 210. That doesn't even equate for some of these other districts that are currently not colored in that probably should be colored in. And then you go to Texas, they're talking about possibly 5 seats. I don't know if it needs to be even 5, but even if they get these 2, if they're able to get these 2 in South Texas and they're able to redraw them, and maybe you talk about one district around, like, I don't know, Houston or so, where you have, changing coalitions. Let's say you get a district there. Okay, well, you're already at 213. So you already, instead of getting, 3 and 5, you still got 2 and 3, or maybe we could even say 2 and 4. Let's say they decide to draw out another district in like the Dallas area, or they redraw a district there. Okay, let's look at the map now, 214 to 203. So Republicans need 4, Democrats need 15. You see how this works. Democrats have drawn ridiculous maps, and they've always played the victim in Illinois. And they say, oh, Wisconsin proves gerrymandering because their geography is awful, and geography matters. Yes, Republicans can have a more Republican-friendly map in a state like Wisconsin because the geography is not good. You talk about, having fair maps. You're going to need fair boundaries, and you're going to have to keep certain communities of interest relatively together. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a racial thing, but you look at like Madison and Milwaukee. Yeah, they're going to have their own representation. The Milwaukee suburbs are going to have their own seat. The Bow counties are going to have their own seat. The Kenosha-Racine district, it might not be as red, but it's his own seat. The Driftless area is its own seat. Northern Wisconsin is its own seat. That's a fair map in Wisconsin. They always play the victim about states like that. But in reality, it's a fair map. But Illinois, they're drawing spaghetti just all over the place there just to make sure that they can keep the Republicans out of power. But if Republicans do it in Texas, even if it's more aesthetic, no, it's a horrible map. They're mad about Florida because they split up Jacksonville. But even if they didn't, you still probably at this point would have a red seat there. So, be careful what you wish for on that front, Democrats. But they tried to redraw Florida. They couldn't. They tried to redraw Wisconsin. They couldn't. They tried to, redraw North Carolina again. They couldn't even do that. So Republicans finally growing a spine that's going to enable them to come close to taking the House. We see some of these maps that, they're a little bit lofty, in my opinion, when it comes down to what they want to do with the whole redistricting thing. This isn't one of those maps. This is the current map, I believe. But you see some maps and it's like they, try to make it like 38-0, and it doesn't look good. But if you're able to go out there and draw in 4 seats, you can actually make it more aesthetic than the current map is right now. And on top of it, there's plenty of seats that they're going to be able to add to get to that 218. I don't see the Arizona ones flipping as it stands right now. I think that the Virginia 2nd District, Jen Kagan's, I think she's going to go out there and win. She's going to be well funded. Keene in New Jersey as well. If you do that, boom, 218. We haven't even talked about the Jared Golden seat, which I think that this is going to be his last hurrah. I think this is the year he finally goes down in 2026. So regardless of how you look at it, there are plenty of pickup opportunities for the Republicans. And if you're actually going to see a redrawn Ohio, which I think you will, a redrawn Texas to a certain extent, which I think is very likely, is very plausible, then the Democrats' chances of retaking the House are less than 50%, even if you have the generic ballot. And let's say they have a good year and they end up retaking the House, it's not going to be by much, because even if you have this wave year where they sweep the toss-up districts and maybe get a few of these like lean Republican districts, I'm not saying they're going to. I don't believe they will at this point, honestly. But if it does actually end up happening where you have this relatively, solid year for the Democrats, it's going to look more like 2022 did for the Republicans than it's going to look like 2018 did for the Democrats. Their floor may be relatively decent, but their ceiling, it's not really all that high. And redistricting has become polarized. And if it becomes even more polarized, it's going to be even worse news for the Democrats, especially as the states that are willing to go out there and redraw their maps. You have Ohio, you have Texas. It's not good news for the Democrats. Republicans' odds of holding the House, probably you're talking about in the 60s or 70s in terms of a percentage range. And that can change. Texas may not redraw. Ohio may not, but those states are very likely to at this point. They're pushing for it. And if they do, yes, you will probably see that trifecta expanded, because we all know pretty damn well that the Democrats have zero shot at flipping the Senate blue in 2026, and they may not have a shot to do so for decades, honestly.
Okay. So it is looking like we're going to keep the Senate. All right, then the war's for the House. And it looks like we're gaining seats. Yo, midterms going to be about war, bro. Like, if we keep the House, that's a win, and we can move forward with these MAGA policies. Because, and hopefully by then, Jerome Powell will be out as Fed chair, and we can get the economy to boom a little bit. When we got boots on the ground that certain things are loosening up in the economy, and well, Quiet Storm was in the chat earlier last week, and he was saying he got his first check with his overtime with the no taxes on the overtime, and it looked lovely. So we're racking up wins slowly but surely. All right, guys, we at the 1 hour 51 minute mark. That is a wrap for tonight's news desk. Thanks for supporting the stream. Thanks for hanging out with me in the chat, man. I will be back tomorrow with more news stories. Everybody, Kwame Kaiju, No News, Brother Zeke, who sent me stories to cover here. Greatly appreciated, especially with regard to what was going on in Spain, and then who was it? Kwame sent me the one with the Fed chair being referred to the DOJ. I didn't see that anywhere. That's like I said, that's major, and that was right up under the radar. Simeon Toko, salute, bro. We're working on that new lo-fi radio episode. I'm gonna use some of your music and promo you on the show. We got a lot of things in the works. So we're back behind the scenes getting stuff done. Like I said, man, we'll be back tomorrow. Man, I want to thank you guys for coming hanging out with me. It's starting to be fun doing these daily news shows. And I think I'm getting better at it. Either way, man, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you guys like, leave comments, and share the long form videos we're putting out. We're trying to brute force our way into the algorithm with those. Keep the channel healthy. Other than that, man, I will see you guys tomorrow. And like I always say right about now, and I want to say good night and good luck.
In a shocking development, the federal government says being broke is allowed, but if you're broke and glowing, you are officially now a suspect.
You can't be glowing more than your financial status. Look your problem.
Welcome back to White News Network. I'm your host, Kimberly Kumquat. Today, the BFI released documents that claim no special files exist from that one famous island. Wink, wink. BFI director said, quote unquote, although you've seen plenty of known people at that island, no American people, you were just seeing shit. The BFI office also released perfectly edited 24-hour surveillance footage of that jail cell where the main guy in charge was being held. At this point, these guys are playing in our face. Most of you are too blind.
This country needs stronger border security. Our border security is the strongest in the world.
What we need is to take care of our children.
I can't get an erection. You think giving them amnesty is fair to the people who are already here? They're contributing to the economy. I've tried all the herbs. Amnesty is never the answer. It's not amnesty. It's recognizing their contributions to our country. They said to meditate, but I keep falling asleep. We need stronger vetting. And to enforce the laws already on the books. I'm terrified of being alone with my wife. It's too much pressure. Well, nothing's ever going to change if Congress isn't willing to compromise. Exactly my point.
A wall would solve this.
I wake up with an erection, but never when she's in the bed with me. A wall would solve nothing.
These children have rights.
I spent $3 grand on a sandals vacation thinking that might do it. Know what it was? Me being limp on a lazy river.
Well,
sorry.
Hey, where's Stewie? That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter.
There it is. We are going to do Sting, yeah.
There's no words there. To play us out. What does that mean, to play us out? To end the show?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, go, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today, and we'll leave you with a... I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it, and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks!
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Stewie Griffin. Thanks for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.